Sometimes being the bad guy isn't about doing something cruel. It's about saying no. It's about setting a boundary. It's about finally responding after being ignored for too long. These are stories where people were told they were petty, dramatic, childish, or selfish, when all they really did was stop letting someone walk over them. These aren't clean situations. They're awkward, emotional, messy, but they're real. These are true Reddit stories from people who finally chose themselves and then wondered if that made them the villain. This is Reddit Echoes. Story 1. Boyfriend wants to invent a new color. My boyfriend asked me for $4,000 to invent a new color, and no, I'm not joking. I'm a 24-year-old woman, and I've been dating my boyfriend, who's 29, for about 3 years now. He's always been a little eccentric, usually in a way I find kind of charming. Philosophical, abstract, big ideas, lots of opinions. But this time, it felt different. A few weeks ago, he sat me down and told me he had a groundbreaking idea, one that would change humanity forever. I'll admit it, I was curious. I asked him what it was. He looked me dead serious and said he was going to invent a new color. I honestly thought he was joking at first, but he wasn't smiling. Now, for context, we're both college graduates. I just finished my degree in biochemistry last year. He graduated a few years ago with a degree in philosophy. So I tried to respond gently. I explained that colors are part of the visible spectrum of light, and unless he'd somehow discovered an entirely new wavelength, this probably wasn't possible. He waved me off immediately. He told me I was being close-minded, that I was too trapped in conventional science, that he was enlightened in a way I would never be. At that point, I stopped arguing. I figured I'd just let him talk himself out. But then he told me what he actually wanted. He needed funding. Specifically, he wanted me to give him $4,000 so he could start his research. When I asked what that money was for, he listed it out like it was completely reasonable. Advanced art supplies. A lab coat, because apparently scientists wear them and it would help him get into the mindset, and a trip to the desert because he believed the pure sunlight out there would inspire him to see the new color. I just stared at him. I told him no, flat out. I'm saving for grad school, and even if I wasn't, I'm not spending thousands of dollars on whatever this was. That's when he got angry. He told me I didn't believe in him, that I was unsupportive, that I was afraid of innovation. He even accused me of being jealous that he had a world-changing idea and I didn't. The conversation escalated fast. He brought up the fact that he's been unemployed for a while I've had a steady job. He implied that since I knew he was a genius, I should be willing to invest in him. And then he said something that made my stomach drop. He mentioned using my card anyway, since he knew the details. At that point, it stopped being quirky or funny or philosophical. It was scary. I'll admit, I said things I regret, but a lot of it was pure reaction. I felt cornered, dismissed, and honestly insulted. Now he's sulking. He's been telling his friends and family that I'm unsupportive and afraid of big ideas, that I crushed his dreams. Some of his friends have even reached out to me saying I should be encouraging his creativity instead of holding him back. But here's the thing. I don't think this is about creativity. I think it's about entitlement. I think it's about asking someone else to bankroll your fantasy and calling them small-minded when they say no. So that's why I'm asking. Am I really the bad guy here for refusing to fund my boyfriend's quest to invent a new color?
Story 2. She had rules for me, but not for herself. For years, my mom had one rule that she refused to bend. If I visited her house, my boyfriend wasn't allowed to share a room or a bed with me. This started when I was in college. I was already living with him. We'd been together for a year. I was an adult, but every Christmas when it was my family's turn, my mom made it very clear, separate rooms or don't stay here at all. My dad argued with her. He said I was grown and it didn't make sense. She didn't care, so I stopped staying at their house. We booked Airbnbs instead. She hated that, but I refused to leave my boyfriend alone on the holidays while his family welcomed us together without question. She always said the same thing, "It's my house, you're not married." 2 years ago, my dad passed away. About 11 months later, my mom started seeing someone new, and I was genuinely happy for her. I wanted her to have companionship again. But then things started sounding familiar. According to my brother, her boyfriend was staying over most nights. My brother could hear them. It made him uncomfortable enough that he moved out. When my mom asked why, he told her the truth. She flipped out, accused him of being unsupportive and cruel, said he should be happy for her. Now she tells me she misses having her kids around. She wants to come stay with me for a week or two, and she wants to bring her boyfriend. I told her that was fine, but they wouldn't be sharing a room or a bed in my house. She exploded. She said she's a grown woman, that she deserves freedom, that I was being petty and childish. I told her I never even planned on having sex in her house back then, but it didn't sound like she cared if people heard her now. And honestly, I wasn't going to reward her for a rule she enforced so harshly on me for years. I told her she could do exactly what I did, get an Airbnb. Now she says I'm acting like a child, but all I did was apply her rules equally. Story 3. Pink party for a child who hates pink. My daughter Cleo is 5 years old, and she hates pink. Not in a dramatic way. She's not throwing tantrums over it. She just doesn't like it. She's been that way since she was about 3. She has one pink shirt she tolerates and one pink stuffed animal she actually likes. That's it. Everyone in our family knows this, except my father's partner. She has never accepted it. Every single gift she's ever given Cleo has been pink. Dresses, toys, accessories, always pink. I've asked her to stop more times than I can count. She always has a reason. She just hasn't found the right shade yet. She needs to be more open-minded. You're limiting her. Meanwhile, Cleo gets visibly uncomfortable every time. She doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I can see it all over her face. About a week ago, my dad invited my husband, our kids, and me over for dinner. He said there was a surprise for the kids. That already felt a little odd. Right before we left the house, my younger sister, who still lives with my dad, texted me. She warned me that the surprise wasn't really a surprise. It was a birthday party for Cleo. Her birthday was 3 months ago. Then my sister sent pictures. Every decoration was pink. Balloons, tablecloths, pink banners, pink foil fringe curtains glued to the doorways. Even the cake was pink. This wasn't a party for my daughter. It was a party for the idea of her. I showed the photos to my husband, and we didn't even have to discuss it for long. We decided we weren't taking the kids there. I texted my dad and told him we knew about the party. We said we weren't coming. Instead, we took the kids to McDonald's and told them that was the surprise. We even told my dad and his partner they were welcome to join us. We were paying. My dad showed up. His partner didn't. He barely spoke to us and left after about 20 minutes. After that, everything blew up. My dad is angry that we dismissed his partner's heartfelt gesture. She told me I'm the reason Cleo is so restrictive, that I'm raising her to be spoiled, ungrateful, and unwilling to compromise. But here's the thing. This was never about pink. It was about someone repeatedly ignoring a child's boundaries because they don't match her vision of who that child should be. It felt like a power move, like she wanted to prove that if she tried hard enough, she could override what my daughter likes, what I say, and what actually makes Cleo comfortable. My sister and one of my brothers are on my side. Another brother says he understands both perspectives. But I keep coming back to the same thought. If the party had actually been for Cleo, it wouldn't have looked like that. And that's why I don't think I was wrong. Story 4. Stroller blocking the door. I live in New York City in a small apartment building, 3 floors, 6 apartments total. My unit is on the ground floor, which means my front door opens directly into the shared hallway. It's the only way in and out of my apartment. Shortly after I moved in, I noticed something strange. My neighbors, a couple who live on the 3rd floor, started leaving their large stroller right in front of my door. Not nearby, not off to the side, right in front of it, every single day. It made it difficult to open the door. It made coming and going awkward. And more importantly, it's against city fire code. It's also explicitly forbidden in our building's lease.
One day, I heard them leave it there again, so I introduced myself and politely explained the problem. I told them it was blocking my entrance and that it wasn't allowed. The woman immediately started giving excuses. She said they live on the 3rd floor and it's hard carrying it down and up. The man raised his voice at me. I was holding my infant daughter at the time. Eventually, the woman suggested a compromise. She said they'd fold the stroller before leaving it there. I didn't love that idea, but I agreed. That compromise lasted 0 days. The stroller stayed unfolded. It stayed blocking my door. Nothing changed. So I contacted property management. I didn't do it out of spite. I just wanted to be able to leave my own apartment safely. Management enforced the rule. That same day, the woman rang my doorbell. She refused to speak to me directly. Instead, she called her mother and put her on speakerphone. Her mother immediately started yelling at me. She said I should have spoken to them first. When I told her I already had, she ignored me. She said I complained about the wrong people and implied I'd regret it. I was honestly stunned. All I could say was, it's fire code. No one gets to break fire code. The whole interaction left me shaken. I've never had neighbors act like that. I didn't even know adults could act like that. I wasn't trying to start drama. I wasn't trying to be difficult. I just wanted to open my front door without having to maneuver around someone else's stroller. And I still can't believe that turned into a grown woman calling her mother to fight her battles for her. Story 5. Taking the cake after sobriety is ignored. At the beginning of this year, I hit 1 year sober. And for me, that was huge. Bigger than graduating college, bigger than any promotion or milestone I've ever had. It was something I fought for quietly every day. So when I told my family that I had something to celebrate at our next family dinner, I'll admit it, I hoped for more than a shrug. That night, everyone was gathered at my mom's house. The kids were playing, the adults were talking. It felt like the right moment. I took a breath and told them I had reached 1 full year sober and how proud I was of myself. The reaction was immediate. "Oh, that's what you meant? Has it been a year already?" That was it. Before I could even process the moment, my sister jumped in and announced that her daughter had gotten into a specific gymnastics program. She said it had been a long road, but she finally made it. Everyone lit up. My brother-in-law popped open a bottle of wine they'd brought and started pouring glasses for everyone. At the table, he made eye contact with me halfway through, and I saw the realization hit his face. I felt this heavy knot in my chest. I stood up and took a walk. I told myself I just needed a minute, that I could come back and be present, be supportive, be fine. When I came back in, my sister asked why I left without saying anything. I said I needed a moment to myself. She gave me a look, so I said it out loud. I told her I shared something I was deeply proud of, and it felt like it got bulldozed over. That's when my mom stepped in. She asked, "What was your news again?" I repeated it, 1 year sober. She waved it off. She said my generation always wants praise for doing the bare minimum, that sobriety wasn't an accomplishment, it was just what I was supposed to do, like graduating high school. Something in me shut down after that. I tried to make it through dinner, but I wasn't there anymore. I decided to go home. Earlier, I'd brought a small berry chantilly cake, my favorite. It was the only thing I'd picked out for myself, something I felt I'd earned. So when I left, I took the cake with me. Later that night, my sister called and asked why the cake was gone. I told her the truth. It was my cake. It was for my accomplishment. She lost it, called me childish, said I was throwing a tantrum because my niece got more attention than me. My mom texted me later saying she was disappointed, that I'd embarrassed myself and ruined the evening. But here's the part that still sticks with me. They were fine serving wine around me, knowing I'm sober, but taking my own cake? That was crossing a line. As I was leaving earlier, my brother-in-law found me and apologized. He said he was completely oblivious in the moment and never meant to hurt me. I believe him, but the rest of it still hurts. I don't think I threw a tantrum. I think I quietly took back the only acknowledgement I gave myself.
Story 6. Humiliating the IQ bragger. I have a friend named Brian who won't shut up about his IQ. Ever since he took some online test that told him he scored a 131, he's been acting like he's the smartest person in every room. At first, it was just mildly annoying. He'd drop random facts into conversations, talk about how high IQ people process the world differently. Then it got worse. He started using big words on purpose, words no one asked for, just to sound smarter. He talked down to people constantly, and eventually it turned into straight-up insults. He told our friend Emily, who's in med school, that doctors are just good at memorization and not real intelligence. He told me I was wasting my potential by working in marketing instead of something more intellectually rigorous. For context, Brian works IT help desk. We all let it slide longer than we should have. We laughed it off, we changed the subject, we tried not to engage. But last week, we were all at a party and Brian started talking about IQ again. Someone joked, "If you're so smart, why aren't you rich?" And Brian didn't laugh. He said, completely serious, that intelligence isn't about wealth, that low IQ people can never truly understand how limited their perception of the world is. The room went quiet. I looked at him and something in me snapped. I said, "That's crazy. What's it like having a high IQ and still losing at fantasy football every single year?" For a split second, he just stared at me. Then the room exploded. People laughed, someone choked on their drink. Brian's face turned red. He started muttering something about statistical variance and sample sizes, then grabbed his jacket and left. Since then, he's barely spoken in the group chat. A mutual friend told me I embarrassed him too much, that I went too far. But here's how I see it. I didn't humiliate him. I stopped letting him humiliate everyone else. And if your entire sense of superiority collapses the moment someone points out you're not actually winning at life, maybe the IQ score wasn't the problem. What these stories all have in common isn't pink decorations, blocked doors, cake, or IQ scores. It's boundaries. Every one of these moments happened when someone decided they were done being polite at their own expense. And maybe that looked rude, maybe it looked petty, maybe it made other people uncomfortable. But sometimes, discomfort is the price of self-respect. If you've ever been told you were too much for finally speaking up, you're probably not alone. If you enjoyed these true Reddit stories, let me know which one hit closest to home. And if you want more Reddit stories told calmly, honestly, and without exaggeration, subscribe to Reddit Echoes. New stories every day. Thanks for listening.